Winnipeg man is hoping for some answers after he says a City of Winnipeg employee let themselves into his backyard to cut his grass. Wayne Moody lives on Talbot Avenue in East Elmwood. He says he did get a notice from the city around June 11th that the grass on this boulevard was too tall. Now, he says he did cut his grass. It was well below 6 inches, so he ignored it. He picks up the story from here.
On the 17th, I got a notice in notice in my mailbox saying that they're going to do an inspection and remediate it on the 18th.
Okay.
So I called them, got no answer. I phoned them, I've emailed them, I've got no response from either.
Yeah.
On the 18th, my alarm system went off because they were in my backyard. I don't know why they were in my backyard when they're complaining about the boulevard to start off with.
What were they doing in your backyard?
Cutting the grass. That was about 1.5 inches long.
So listen, you have a house like most people that have homes in Winnipeg. You've got a front yard that I'm guessing is public view.
Yep.
The boulevard's public view.
Yep.
Is your backyard fenced or is
Yes, it's fenced, and the fence you can't open it from the outside unless you climb up over the top of it, reach down, and grab the latch on the inside.
So what'd you think when someone's back there cutting your grass?
Well, I couldn't understand why they were in the back there doing it, being that this complaint was supposedly of the front boulevard. Mm-hmm. And it had all been cut already. So I spoke to the lady over the camera, which doesn't get recorded, unfortunately, on my camera. And she said, oh, yeah, there was a few high patches on the boulevard. So I asked her, well, why are you in my backyard cutting the grass then? And she just walked away.
So Janice Lukes is councillor for Waverley West Ward and Chair of Public Works and here to respond to this. Good morning.
Well, good morning, Marcy.
I saw you leaning in and listening and also probably watching some of the video because there was video of the city worker in the backyard there. What do you say to this?
Well, I've not heard anything about this till just now. It's odd. I will say it's very odd. When I looked and leaned in to see how long the grass was in the backyard, I really can't speak to this particular incident. I would encourage Wayne to send me his address and I'll get to the bottom of this because that was kind of funky what was going on in the backyard, in my opinion.
Was it wrong for a city employee to be in the backyard? Because people might listen to this and think, people can complain about my backyard grass, it's fenced in, and the city can come in and do that? Or was all not supposed to happen?
Well, I'll speak in general terms, not specifically about this case, because I don't really know what was going on here. But in many situations, I've seen grasses and weeds in backyards 5-6 feet tall. So the city will provide warnings. They'll encourage people and help educate them on the program, on the bylaw, the neighborhood livability bylaw. And then if the resident doesn't comply, if there's staffing, they will go in and mow it, weed it, like what's happening in the video.
So this neighborhood livability bylaw does apply to our fenced areas on our private property?
Yeah. Front, back, and then the boulevard, the public property that the homeowner is responsible for.
Why? Because I feel like my backyard is sort of my sanctuary, and for someone to complain about it, then they're looking over the fence, they're annoyed by the height. What do you say to people who might feel like it shouldn't apply to that? I mean, a front yard is a little bit maybe different. You can understand that logically. Why does the city feel that this should apply to the backyard?
Not all backyards have fences. Not all backyards have high fences. Not all front yards have fences. So it's a law related to the property itself. Front, back, side.
Can the city enter? I guess they can because this happened. I mean, are city workers supposed to be just entering your yard like that without permission or a homeowner on site, like reaching over? Because what if a dog had been in the backyard and got out, or what if there had been an incident? And then I, as a homeowner, I'm liable then if something happened with the city? I find it quite shocking they were in the yard.
Yeah, well, front, back, I mean, what's the difference? I mean, the front can be fenced off with a gate and a dog. The back can be fenced off with a gate and a dog. It can have no fence, the front or the back. The bylaw, the way it's written, does allow the city to go on the property to deal after warnings, after proper documentation is done, does allow the city to go in and deal with the vegetation.
So people have to be prepared for that then. Like if you do have an animal that's in the yard and such, you should know that a city worker could come and open your gate and they could be in there with the dog or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah.
Do you think there's cause to relook at the bylaw, just given some of the concerns around that or around the backyard being more public, private space?
Well, every year, every spring, we go through this. We have the same conversations. And at this point, no one has felt it necessary to look at the bylaw. I don't feel it's necessary to look at the bylaw. Not every yard has a high fence in the backyard. Like again, I've seen vegetation 5-6 feet tall in the backyard. When you live in an urban environment, we have bylaws, and the bylaws are to create neighborhood livability. Everyone's perspective of neighborhood livability varies. I understand that. An example that we have a lot of, that I had a lot of when I was the councillor for Fort Richmond, was parking vehicles in the front yard, multiple vehicles in the front yard. Mm-hmm. That's a neighborhood bylaw violation. Parking.
I don't want to get too far away from into the different bylaws. I want to stay with the grass for a moment. Do you know if Mr. Moody's going to be charged for the work that the employee did on his property on June 18th? Only because
no idea.
You don't know. Okay.
I don't know the case.
Okay. So you've asked for, you want more details on the case. You saw the video there. You can see sort of how high the grass was, which was not, anywhere near, not high at all.
No.
So because it wasn't high at all, is there a chance that he might in fact get reimbursement, perhaps, just based on what you visually seen there?
I don't know the case, but I know that when humans are involved in making decisions, sometimes the best decisions aren't always made. So when I see that video and I see the person weed whacking the vegetation, which doesn't look even knee height, I have to think that there is some sort of decision that was made that may not be accurate, because from when I watched the video, it doesn't look like it's a big issue compared to what are big issues out there.
Got it. Now, to be clear here how this happens, because Mr. Moody was asking about how this happens, how this works, why one homeowner would get a notice, another nearby owner wouldn't. This is complaint driven. Is that correct?
All the bylaws in the city are complaint driven.
Okay. What about the appeal process? He also shared that he had 2 days to appeal after getting the initial notice on the 11th or 12th. He says that would cost $250 to appeal. He was feeling that's too tight a window. Especially, he says his grass was already well below 6 inches that was being acceptable. Does he have other options, or can we extend the appeal process window, do you think?
Well, I found it very interesting in this case that he got a notification for his backyard, and I think he had 2 days notice, or was it even 1 day notice?
Yeah, it was an initial notice on the 11th or 12th. So pardon me, it was too tight. He says he had the appeal window was 2 days.
Yeah. Well, again, when humans are involved, sometimes things go off the rails. This sounds like it went off the rails. I don't have enough details on this.
Okay.
What I've really learned is you need to get all the details in this job, because there's many varying aspects.
Is it worth it, even though this is one case, and you say this comes up all the time, I wonder if it's worth changing some of these things, like even having a complaint-based system? Are there other ways to go about it that maybe other cities do, that they're more straight ahead and not based on complaints?
Well, I think anything in the city, there's always ways to improve things. There's always ways to look at issues. We did improve our vegetation bylaw. The city used to go out 3 or 4 times to give reminders, which was ridiculous because it just was a waste of time. One education paper, and giving people, my understanding is it's 7 to 10 days notice. That's my understanding. And in that 7 to 10 days, if the person can't deal with the issues, then the city comes back, sees if the resident is home, and if they are, they talk to them. If they're not, then they'll mow the lawn.
What's your advice to someone who might feel that they've been unfairly handed a notice and that their lawn needs attention? Should they be calling the city directly? Should they be going through their councillor? What's your advice?
I would think they could call their councillor. That's what we're here for, to help residents. They can call 311, either one.
Anything to add, Janice Lukes, about the bylaw or about where people should read more about what they should expect this summer?
Yeah, you could just Google bylaws on the city website. Sorry, I have a cold. You could Google it. You can call your counselor. But I guess the main thing, and people get very worked up about this bylaw, along with many other bylaws. The main thing is we live in an urban environment, and we do require bylaws. Not everyone agrees with them, but it's part of the deal of living in an urban environment. Some people are very passionate about this, I can tell you, very passionate that they want to see the bylaw enforced and people keeping their vegetation below 6 inches. Other people don't care. So it's one of these issues, like many in the city, where you can't please everyone.
Well, in the meantime, we'll keep you on the line if you don't mind, and we will get you, as requested, Mr. Moody's contact information so you can follow through on what you called, an unusual case here. So maybe there's some recourse here for him. But thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
So Janice Lukes, councillor for Waverley West Ward, Chair of Public Works for the City of Winnipeg, on with us live on CBC via Zoom.